Ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply humbled and honored to be here with you this evening. I hail from America's dairyland, but I'm not someone who grew up on a farm. I'm just someone who is curious about our food system, and I simply wanted to eat organic food without having to pay for it. I am a member of the Deer Clan and a Ho-Chunk Nation tribal member. I left the Rodale Institute last year with the aspirations of changing our food system. I took that goal home with me to Wisconsin to help the tribal members of the Ho-Chunk Nation. I am currently an AmeriCorps Vista worker for the Ho-Chunk Housing and Community Development Agency in Tomah, Wisconsin. The agency provides housing and services to low-income families. In 2013, the agency had asked tribal members what was needed in their community. On a piece of paper, my late father wrote down 2 words, organic garden. Since the inception of the first garden, other tribal members wanted a garden within their communities. The agency has added 1 garden each year during the last 3 years, and a new garden proposed for next year. I manage 3 community gardens and 7 corn gardens sprinkled across 5 counties. We are currently conducting a food sovereignty assessment. This will enable my tribe to practice their tribal sovereignty and create our own food system and food laws. The community gardens are located within 3 of our low-income communities, and I help educate my people on how to garden, how to create their own food security, and to reconnect them to culturally significant foods. The gardens are funded through grants, but I have been trying to create a more self-sustainable model, which includes seed saving, composting, cover cropping, and basically just putting things together to make them work. This year I had received a donation for a greenhouse, which will allow us to start our own transplants and enable us to do season extension growing. This year I began a new program called Village Corn. This pilot project aims to bring tribal members closer to our ancestral corn. Instead of bringing tribal members out to visit various cornfields, we have literally brought the cornfields to their backyard. Community members have been able to watch the corn grow this year from seed to sprout to seed. The hope is that the other communities will follow suit, adopt one of the varieties of Ho-Chunk corn each year, save the seed, and continue to grow it each year as a community to prevent cross-pollination of the other varieties. These activities have directed my daily life since I began my job in February. Once upon a time, I would spend summers with my grandparents. The garden was just a place where we would weed on a hot July afternoon. As a child, I could not appreciate that our dinner salad was harvested from the garden just hours before. In my other grandparents' home, I would see reused Gerber baby food jars with seeds housed within them. I remember shaking them around just to hear them rattle. In 2004, I walked away from a career in the financial world. I wanted to be a part of something greater than myself. I wanted to do something meaningful, something to help others, but what could I do? So I made the decision to follow in the footsteps of so many of my family members. I raised my right hand and swore to protect the Constitution of the United States. During my nearly 10-year career in the U.S. Army, I traveled the world. I've seen places people have only seen on the news. But most importantly, I felt that I was helping people live a better life. Although I had some of the best times of my life, I was more than ready to come home. I came home a different person than I had left those years ago. I had become a product of my environment. I was cold and broken. And I'm not telling you this as part of a sad story, but this is what my life was like before I came to the Rodale Institute. I've evolved into a person who believes that everything happens for a reason. All of the good and all of the bad have shaped me into who I am today. I've come to believe there are numerous people who have planted seeds within me. Many of those people are in this room tonight. Jeff, Chris, everybody else. I know there's a lot of people who aren't here tonight. But I thank you from deep within me. And I apologize that there's not enough time to thank everybody, but I want to thank all of you who've helped me learn something and helped me learn everything I needed to learn while I've been here. You've planted seeds within me, some of which have gone to seed and have enabled me to plant those seeds within other people. Others continue to vernalize. Every single day, I rely on the knowledge shared and experiences I have gained here. I left with a well-built toolbox filled with knowledge, hope, and good intentions. I apologize for the reference to seed, but since February, seeds have become my life. Seeds my late father had saved, seeds that my elders could no longer grow on their own, seeds that have been carefully stewarded for generations, and most importantly, seeds that needed to come home from various seed banks around the country. I speak gently to my seeds because they give us life 3 times a day. They once fed my ancestors, and they will continue to feed the generations of unborn yet to come to earth. Although these seeds may be in my possession today, they do not belong to me. Many indigenous people believe in the 7 generations. The belief reminds us that everything we do today impacts our future generations. My father would often say that this isn't for me, this is for your grandchildren's grandchildren. This has never rung so true as it does today. The seeds on this journey with me were passed down from my ancestors. These seeds traveled with them on forced removals to Nebraska from Wisconsin. These seeds were swallowed whole, carried to safety in their stomachs as they escaped their enemies. When I hold these Ho-Chunk seeds in my hand, I know that one of my ancestors once held the same seed. The seeds are why my work is important, but I would not be able to grow a single seed without the knowledge I gained while I was in this program. And I must say, farming is the hardest job I've ever had in my life, but farming is also the most rewarding job I've ever had in my life. So thank you, Rodale, for giving me the knowledge to not only preserve our cultural seeds, but also to carry out the responsibilities my ancestors achieved and the dreams my father wanted our tribe to return to. Thank you.